By the way, if there's one type of thing that I like to talk about is one thing that I do enjoy is the Majora's Mask pagan town theory.
Oh yeah.
Because
what's the pagan town theory?
That the entire town is a very much like anti goddesses, because you see images in like the in like Stone Tower, where if you look at the underside of like the big statues the big like blocks you move around, on the underside of it you see the Triforce.
Interesting.
And since the people in Clocktown worship the giants instead of the goddesses, that it's possible that the goddesses sent that world into another reality, and that's where Link ended up.
I can get behind that. And as Kit says, lore ambiguity would help Zelda. Sometimes too much detail puts you in a corner. Yeah.
Yeah, like
my big
like
thing
Star Wars.
my big thing is the link from Ocarina of Time to Breath of the Wild. It's so stupid. So if I have this right, Link grabs the Master Sword, which causes him to become frozen in time up until the future. This is one timeline, which eventually becomes one reality. I think that leads to the Wind Waker timeline, if I'm not mistaken.
The adult Link timeline leads to Wind Waker, because Link's not there to stop Ganon when he's freed from the Sacred Realm.
Yeah, anyway, so that's one timeline, and then Link defeats Ganon, which, if I have this right, that's also a different timeline. The timeline where Link just never wakes up, versus the timeline where Link wakes up in the adult timeline and then kills Ganon. And then there is yet a third timeline where we have the canonical ending, where Link then goes back in time and the bullshit of Majora's Mask happens. Which, I'm not sure how we get 3 timelines out of the split. 2 makes sense, but 3, I do not understand. But anyway, this is canon that there is a 3-way timeline split from Ocarina of Time, and it is also canon that there is then a 3-way timeline convergence in Breath of the Wild, where all 3 separate timelines are the history of the world of Hyrule in the Breath of the Wild timeline, which to me does not make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if you actually wanted to do that, it could be kind of interesting. Like, okay, have the Link of this world get ready to go and fight Ganon, and we're kind of piecing this together from the history that everything went as normal in a typical timeline. Link goes around, he then goes to fight Ganon, but there's a problem of, as he's going, we get these little hints that something's wrong. Where just, like, buildings flash into reality that were never there, mountains suddenly appear, the environment's changing, there's all these monsters that just start showing up, and it feels like reality's breaking apart, and it's just written off as, oh, that must be Ganon's influence. But when he actually goes to fight Ganon, Ganon's there, and then Ganon's there, and then Ganon's there. Because the 3 Ganons from the 3 timelines end up all showing up, and then all 3 of them beat the shit out of Link. So where Link normally would have won, because there are 3 Ganons, he's now sent, and the fuckery happens. And what could even be interesting is, like, you had 3 different Links who all fought the 3 different Ganons at different points. All of them got defeated, but thanks to Zelda pulling some fuckery, was able to take the 3 different Links and stitch them together, and thanks to their Triforces of Courage, all 3 of them then combined into one Link, and now you're playing as that Link that has recovered, and now has to go and fight the 3 Ganons. It could even be interesting that the 3 Ganons take their Triforces of Power, and they then combine into a sort of dark Triforce, where all 3 pieces are Triforce of Power pieces because we have 3 timelines, which means we have 3 Ganons, which
That
means we
is
have
way
3
more than the
Triforces
story
of
budget
power.
was. The problem is, like, the Breath of the Wild story is already, like, one of the weakest parts of it.
Oh yeah, the story's basically non-existent.
So...
I just feel like the Doctor Who, when they call Ocarina Link the hero of time, good luck hitting paradoxes with a sword. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's probably how I would go about it if you really wanted the timeline conversions. And you could even have some fun fuckery where things are just wrong, where bits of the environment are just spliced in. And that's already kind of a thing going on in Breath of the Wild. You could just play into it more. Like, there's some really weird regions. Like, the Great Plateau is just weird. It feels like it's in the wrong place, especially since the Temple of Time is there, which is so far away from the ruins of Hyrule Town where it's supposed to be. And then you also have the Kokiri Forest, which is just in the wrong place. It's an island out in the middle of a river. Like, that's not supposed to be where that is. And then there's also that region that's over by Mount Doom, over in the northeast corner of the map, where, like, there's these weird purple plants and shit, and the environment looks like moon rocks. Like, you could even play up that, yeah, that was just a full-on other dimension that got spliced in here, like Lorule from Link Between Worlds just wound up here.
Mhm.
You can have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, but as you said, the story was already non-existent, so...
Don't
guess
give
that's-
Game Freak any ideas on how to excuse their game engines. Ugh. Yeah. I could even see kind of a fun explanation here where the only reason that they were able to seal away Ganon while Link is recovering, and the only reason that they were able to save Link is because you actually had 3 different Zeldas that were all working together to make this bullshit happen. And now the 3 Zeldas have all imprisoned this ultra-powerful Ganon, but, you know, they can only do it for so long as their strength fades away. Because even with, like, a completed Triforce of Wisdom, because it's not the proper Triforce, it's not as powerful as it could be, and so it's failing to keep Ganon in balance.
Oh,
Anyway, this plot is still stupid. I'm just gonna put that out there. This is still really stupid, but...
I mean, it's... Again, the Zelda story is already kind of... At least
Yeah.
the overall Zelda story is kind of a mess.
I have not played Tears of the Kingdom, but my understanding is that that adds a lot of context that makes the story better, at least there's more of it.
I haven't
because
finished it yet. I'm still going through it, so I don't
Yeah.
know either.
Breath of the Wild story is basically non-existent. There's just these few little bits of lore that you can pick up here and there. Honestly, it feels like a weaker version of Dark Souls, where you just pick up tiny bits of lore from items that you find scattered around. Because you have these 4 different temples that you can solve, and, you know, as part of them, you unlock a couple of cutscenes that give you a tiny bit of lore. And then there's these different pictures you can find that give you a tiny bit of lore. But you're always just getting these little snippets of the basic story. And honestly, when you're told the basic background at the end of the plateau, if you just took a guess at what happened, you would be 90% correct.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, I'm still pissed that that all the items still have such annoyingly low durability. The durability system in Breath of the Wild is one of my least favorite systems. It's just,
like the Master Sword having durability.
It's just obnoxious.
It's a recharge, but still.
like, I get that you want us to, like, use a bunch of different weapons, but, like, at some point we figured out what we like.
Uh-huh.
And then having everything break so often just drives me nuts.
Yeah, the
Like,
solution to it is...
Sorry,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Well, what I don't like, there's a solution to it. I don't like that this is the solution, but the solution is just don't give a crap about any of the special weapons. Like the special elemental weapons, they're cool and stuff, but just use them. Don't save them because, I mean, they're just gonna break. Don't worry about waiting for the right moment. You don't need them. Just have some fun with them while you have them. Maybe keep an ice wand in your back pocket because it's kind of helpful to have an ice item for special circumstances. But, don't get attached to anything. And then the other aspect of it is when it comes to getting strong weapons, just go out and hunt Lionels every now and then. Once you figure out how to hunt Lionels, it's not that difficult, and you get a weapon with a fairly high durability with lots of damage without too much effort. So you can just easily stock up on superpowered weapons.
I didn't really find fighting Lionels to be very fun. Is also the problem.
Yeah,
I thought it was engaging at first, but once it becomes muscle memory, it kind of loses its engagement.
Yeah, I don't know. Breath of the Wild was a very good exploration game, but I still didn't really like the combat. That was one of the weaker elements to me, in my opinion. I had more fun just...
Yeah.
I had more fun just going around and finding secrets than I did with the combat.
Well, combat is serviceable, and I would actually argue that it's not that good of an exploration game. And my reasoning for that is, while you do have a very big world that on its own is fun to explore, there's the problem of there is no reward to exploring it. Now, sure, you're rewarded with Korok seeds, which are very helpful at first, but once you get past a certain point, because of the diminishing returns on Korok seeds coming from both directions, one, each upgrade to your inventory becomes more and more expensive, so you get diminishing returns in that way. And then also, each upgrade to your inventory is less and less valuable, because now your inventory is large enough to hold enough items to go adventuring and stuff, and you've also learned to stop hoarding materials that look important and just use things until they break. Having that expanded inventory is less and less valuable, while also being more and more expensive. So Korok seeds just eventually get to the point where you will see where a Korok seed is and just decide not to do it because you don't feel like solving that puzzle right now. Like, yes, I have a rock here, there's a hole over there, I just need to play golf. I don't really feel like playing golf right now, so I'm just going to move along and keep exploring.
Yeah,
I didn't really care about the reward when I was playing. I just kind of did whatever the hell I wanted.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I love how you mentioned.
Yeah.
I love how you mentioned golf, because I think the best game that has weapon durability, but it doesn't destroy the weapon, is Dark Cloud 2. Because you can actually repair your weapons, and when they break, they don't like disappear. It's just that it's just they become extremely weak to the point of near uselessness until you repair them.
Yes,
and
I feel like that should be a thing.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you mentioned golf, because there is like a golf mini game type thing in Dark Cloud 2.
Yes.
Where you repair these giant time rifts, and you have to like hit these small little freaking golf ball size time balls into the rifts.
Yeah, I guess to summarize, I definitely think Breath of the Wild is definitely not a 10 out of 10 game like a lot of the reviews.
I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. It's a good game.
That's lower than I'd put it. I'd put it like 8.5 out of 10, just because I had a lot of fun playing it.
I understand.
But its faults became pretty clear pretty fast as I was playing it.
The combat system is extremely limited. Exploration is not great. It's a lot of fun at first. Like, I remember I had this one experience where I just decided to follow along this road that I had found, and I had a lot of good time just walking it, role-playing, of just, I'm actually going to follow along this path until I get there, and I eventually get to the top of this mountain, and I'm like, oh, this is where I fought that big dragon earlier, because I just skipped over here using the climbing and glider mechanics, so that really undercut that moment.
Yeah, by the way, that entire scenario that happened previously while you all were talking about Breath of the Wild, it turned out the reason why the Yoisa stole the crystal orb was because they were actually not happy with Lim working with pirates.
Mhm.
Ah,
So like,
right. We're playing a video game. Right. I'm sorry.
Forgot
Yeah,
about that.
we got very distracted with other games. Sorry.
it happens. It happens. I don't mind it because one of the guys that I like to listen to is called Brain Scratch Commentaries, and they go off topic all the damn time.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh,
So
like I
I
was
don't
gonna,
mind it.
I
I was
still
gonna say,
haven't.
there's the other two rewards for exploration are uh, money, because you can get some new items and stuff, but pretty much all it's good for is selling it to get money. And the other that are just some weapons or shields that have limited durability and break very easily, so it's not a permanent upgrade to your character. Or the shrines, which you got to complete 4 of them in order to get a minor stamina buff or a minor health buff. And at first, those are useful, but once again, law of diminishing returns. Once you have
Oh,
10
well.
hearts, any increase to your number of hearts feels very minor. Also, there's the fact that you can very easily get foods that increase your maximum stamina or health. Even though it's temporary, you have a functionally limitless supply of that stuff, so any upgrades that are permanent are significantly less valuable.
Oh
The
yeah, and
biggest problem
that's
for me is so many of them were copy paste.
Yeah.
Like there were so many ones that were just fight one of those spider monsters.
All
Like
shrines of
spider,
combat can go to hell.
like one of those spider machine monsters, and it was just
Guardians.
yeah. Well, no, not a guardian, but like a mini guardian.
I think they are called guardians, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, there is a distinction between them and the big ones that roam around the
Yeah, and
overworld.
it just got really old really fast fighting the same monster over and over again, and then having my items break as I was fighting it, having to go get new items.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I started giving up and doing shrines and just sort of started going around trying to go find every little nook and cranny I could. And that's what like I said, what I had most fun with is just going around and finding every little stupid item I could.
Yeah. I burned out on Breath of the Wild a bit, and it got really fun again playing with friends, trading off. Yeah, I can see that. It feels like a good game to just trade off between people, because you
Yep,
don't really
here's
feel
Frank.
too attached to what you're doing.
Oh, and by the way, this is what Frankie does in game. He built it happened before in
Yeah.
Memoria, but now it's an actual ability you have.
I keep forgetting Frankie can build critical infrastructure when he feels like. Yes, very good point, Kit.
Yeah. I keep forgetting Frankie. Period.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the way that I would have fixed the exploration problem is that there are plenty of weapons that will permanently break when they've used up their durability, but there also are some weapons that are technically unbreakable, because that when they eventually run out of durability, it will break, but it's still an item in your inventory, and then it can be repaired at any town blacksmith for a certain cost.
Just
Yeah.
have an item that can repair those specific items.
Yeah, I think that I would like it a lot more if there was an item repair system or something.
Yeah, also controversial take. I feel like the game would have been vastly better if climbing is an ability that you unlock by obtaining a key item after completing like 60 or so shrines, so like a late game ability. And also, very controversial take, since I know a lot of people have pointed out that it was absolutely brilliant giving you the glider at the beginning of the game. Make the glider a late game item.
I don't agree with that personally.
I understand.
Actually, if I'm to make a statement, and this basically shoots the entire idea of Breath of the Wild in the foot, I'm not a big fan of you going after the boss in the very beginning.
I actually
prefer
do
more
like that.
I prefer a more linear structure, so I would say, like, all the abilities that you get at the beginning of the game?
Yes.
Those should be the abilities that you get when you defeat each of the the giant robot animal things.
Maybe. I don't feel like they should be a reward for the Guardians, but I do feel like every now and then, for having completed so many shrines, you should get some type of reward. And I do feel like the runes should have been spaced out a bit more. Now, I do like the idea of, as soon as you start the game, going and kicking Ganon's ass. It's just really fucking hard to do that. Now, a big problem that I do have with the game, though, is that it almost feels like you are punished for doing things as the developers intended. And my reasoning for that is if you go and defeat all of the great beasts, is that what they're called? Anyway, divine beast. After defeating all the divine beasts, your reward is you get to skip the boss rush, and Ganon is reduced to half health when you start the fight, which sounds like a cool reward. But if you actually think about it, if you have taken the time to complete more tasks, gear yourself up, become more powerful, more prepared, and ready to fight Ganon, you are rewarded with an easier fight, like a vastly easier fight, by being to skip the boss rush and then getting to start the boss at half health. Where if you don't do any of the divine beasts, you are rewarded with the additional challenge of getting to go through the boss rush before fighting Ganon, and then actually getting to fight him at full strength.
I mean, that wouldn't make. I mean, it makes more sense lore-wise the way they do it, though.
I disagree on the boss rush.
I just disagree with boss rushes in general. Fuck that concept. I've already killed you. Stay dead.
Lore-wise, I get the.
Also, I really don't like
starting
boss
him at half
rushes,
health.
though.
I kind of like them. It depends, though. And I feel like it would make more sense if you skip the boss rush if you rush directly to Ganon, because each one of those divine beasts, each one of those Ganon forms are over in the divine beast. How the fuck are they going to get all the way across Hyrule before you kick Ganon's ass?
I mean,
Let alone show up and be ready to fight you within minutes of being alerted to your presence, before you can even take a crack at Ganon.
I mean, but it also doesn't make sense for them to get to you when they're already dead.
Well, they're not living creatures, so I feel like the excuse for that is they're not dead per se, and in the time that you've been running around Hyrule, they have regenerated back at Hyrule Castle where Ganon is. He's regenerated those aspects of himself. Metroid Prime did it well. Start the game with all of your powers and lose them and have to get them back. You know what Samus can do and just rediscover it. Solid.
Yes.
The Triforce of Improbability.
It's not like Metroid Other M, where she has all of her abilities. She just needs someone.
I just don't see doing a boss.
She just needs a man to tell her place.
I just don't see doing a boss rush as a reward. I see it as an annoyance.
I understand that.
Roshan, exactly.
Yeah, so you would
It's
not. So you would not like frickin' any
Mega Man game. Yeah, exactly.
Which sucks because Mega Man's my favorite series.
I personally, I'm not tied to the idea of the boss rush as a reward. I just think that refighting these characters now with more skill and more equipment is generally fun because it lets you see how much you've grown and developed over time. But again, I'm not tied to it, and I can see not going.
It would have to like significantly increase the difficulty of the boss for me to want to do it. And at that point, that might piss off more, people who already had a lot of trouble with the boss.
Yeah, I'm fine with all versions of it. I'm fine with skipping the boss rush. I'm fine with the boss rush of the original bosses, and I'm fine with boss rush of upgraded bosses as more of a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
All three versions I'm fine with.
Samus got it so bad for Adam. She needs permission to turn the safety off.
Like, in my opinion, if I'm going to redo a boss fight, it needs to be like significantly more challenging for me to find it worthwhile.
I just like boss fights, so personally, I don't have any issue with just redoing them for the heck of it.
I guess I guess it depends on you how. That's just a personal.
Yeah,
it's just a sort of a personal taste thing. Then.
Yeah, it's not an objectively makes the game better or worse. It's just personal taste. Now, I do think objectively makes the game worse is every single reward that you get is a piece of garbage that will break after using it for a little bit.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that.
Because you're rewarded for defeating the Divine Beast with a new ability and a heart. Fair enough, those are permanent upgrades to your character, even if at times they feel like minor upgrades. But then another reward for doing all the extra bullshit around it and completing the story is you get a weapon that used to belong to one of the champions, and after you have broken that one last remaining artifact from that champion that has been passed down through the generations, you can now purchase a replica of it, which is just as good. Honestly, I would have kind of liked it if from the beginning you could purchase a replica of the item, but it's nowhere near as good. And then when you get the actual one, it's an infinite durability, or when it does eventually break, it can be repaired, something along those lines. And then it also has extra damage, maybe some kind of extra effect on it.
Uh-huh.
I did a whole bunch of fusing. Hopefully, that'll make Frankie's abilities better.
Nice.
Hopefully, Frankie will stop being the weak link.
I need to upgrade all my stuff because I'm about to enter into another dungeon. This time it's going to be ice-based.
Ah. The ice fruits.
We already fought the guy with the ice fruit. It's out. That was Aokiji.
I always forget about Sleepy Aokiji.
So let's see here. Memorial log. Yeah, this is what Frankie looked like before the time skip. Unfortunately, Frankie does not have an alternate outfit in this one, because his alternate outfit, if it made sense, would be just the change of his it changes his entire body.
Yeah.
Controversial take. I love ice levels thanks to Sonic. That is a pretty controversial take, because Jesus Christ, an ice level in a Sonic game is like pulling your nails.
Yeah, I would have agreed with you had you not said thanks to Sonic.
Yeah.
I have not played enough Sonic to have played a Sonic ice level, so I wouldn't know. I do personally like ice levels a fair bit. They can have some fun mechanics and stuff. The main one I think of is New Soup for the DS, the original New Soup, because that had a very nice. That had a very nice ice world. That was a fair bit of fun. It was very challenging, like all the slipperiness and the bottomless pits were annoying as heck to deal with, and some of those enemies were yikers. But there's still also a lot of fun mechanics introduced with snowballs and sliding around, momentum mechanics. I like that quite a bit. And then Kirby has some very nice ice bubbles.
I need to interrupt this conversation right here. Did you just fucking say yikers?
What?
I'm scolding my friend for sounding like the most basic bitch person, saying yikers. Y'all can continue now. I'm done.
What was I saying?
I didn't hear yikers somewhere in there, lol. Yeah, even Kit knows.
Okay, so it looks like I can continue things.
Yeah, about New Super Mario Brothers was like the second game I ever played or something like that. I think the first game I ever played was Mario Kart.
I remember playing a few games on my dad's computer, but yeah, the first one that I actually played like properly, I think that was Double Dash.
Mm-hmm.
What game did I start out with?
Yeah,
because the earliest I remember is like the Tasmanian Tiger 2 on the OG Xbox.
Mm.
And then, of course, Blinks the Time Sweeper.
Blinks the Time Sweeper!
Isn't that like the cat mascot?
Yeah, the cat that was going to be Xbox's mascot, but...
I wish that became Xbox's mascot. Nope.
So do I.
It's a kitty.
Blinks deserved it way more than Master Chief, honestly.
It's just kind of an issue of timing. They introduced Blinks as mascot platformers were going out of style, and cartoon mascots were being replaced with, fancy, realistic mascots. Look at the poly count. Wow!
It's a shame, because he's a cute design. And I'm not saying that just because he's a cat.
He's an adorable design. I love him.
Yeah, the obsession over polygons has absolutely ruined mascots. My first game was helping with Mega Man 2. I was a toddler and my brother said, hit the shoot button as fast as possible when I tell you.
I was the turbo button before. They were cool.
But yeah, the first game that I ever played... You're talking about the first game you ever played?
Mm-hmm.
Mine was Mega Man X.
It all explains everything. That's why he is the way he is.
Honestly, I'm surprised your persona is a dragon and not some kind of robo creature.
My favorite... I'm going to go ahead and say this. My favorite Maverick in the all Mega Man X... all the Mega Man X series is Magma Dragoon.
You know, we probably wouldn't have to redesign you that much to actually make you Dragon Man.
I think there is actually a Dragon Man.
Is Magma Dragoon like an actual Dragoon? Like a...
Yeah, he's actually like a robotic dragon reptile man.
Oh.
I was thinking more Final Fantasy Dragon.
Like cavalry.
No, he's not a dragon. He's not a Final Fantasy-esque dragon.
Yeah, one of the funny things about him is that... And one of the funny things about that is that Magma Dragoon does use Street Fighter moves. Like, he does do the Hadouken and the Shoryuken.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dragoons are cavalry from the late 1800s.
Do they jump super high and then
I'm Vuly. I know history.
Actually, I think they're around in the early 1800s too. Anyway, they're 19th century cavalry.
Dragoon refers to many things. I was thinking more of like fantasy-esque dragoons, like the stuff you'd see in...
Do they still jump super high in the air?
So, the term comes from the rifles that they used to use. Since they were shorter, they had a far brighter muzzle flash that made it look as though the weapon was breathing fire. Hence, their name is derived from the French for dragon. So they used dragon rifles.
They used dragon's breath rounds?
Because of the shorter muzzle, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Roshan, Kit Fox is showing you a picture of Magma Dragoon.
I looked him up.
Okay.
That's why I made my comment that he wasn't like look. That's why I made the comment that he didn't look like what I was expecting. Also,
I was actually here and playing that Mega Man game with Zero, I believe. I watched him kick Magma Dragoon's ass.
Yes, you did.
I actually learned about it from the American Cowboy Museum. Pretty fun. Anyway, they had a whole display dedicated to the American Dragoons.
Was Zero or X? I think he was X, because I misspoke and said X instead of Zero.
Yeah, I played as X first, and then I played as Zero. Unfortunately, no one was around for that particular run.
Yeah, again, I profusely apologize. I was stupid tired when you let me make that choice.
Wait, so does your name come from Mega Man? Like your
originally?
Yeah, because it's Zero in Entity, which I think is what Zero is originally called.
Yeah. No, I'm known as Zeronian Entity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of this new production, is Zeronian Entity Productions.
Mm-hmm. But like, so Zeronian Entity comes from Mega Man.
Yeah, it comes from a lot of series where they have Zero as a character. There's Zero the Winged Knight in Gundam. There's Zero the dog in Nightmare Before Christmas. And Zero in Mega Man X. There are so many characters with Zero in their name. And yes, I ignore freaking that other Zero from freaking Code Geass. I'm just gonna completely ignore Code Geass. No, ignore him. He's a prick. I hate
a
Code.
feeling he doesn't like that.
I hate Code Geass.
Really, my brother loves that show. I've never watched it myself, but my brother loves it.
The opening, I haven't seen the show, but I've listened to the opening. It's actually really good.
There you go. I was actually able to upgrade everyone's upgrade Frankie's attack stuff by merging items together. Oh, by the way, I was able to. Yeah, I made it back to Water 7 to finally finish this bounty.
Oh, did you find that? Did you get to the city you need to go to? I forgot its name.
Oh, no, I need to go into the ruins and beat the next Colossus in order to unlock the next portion of the game. It's just that right now it's Kit. The question you're asking, do I like the X design better than the Zero design? Because honestly, Zero. I'm sorry, I can never get over the fact that Zero in the Mega Man Zero's design looked like he's just running around with tidy whities on. I can never get over that for as long as I live.